Cheryl, thanks.
You bet.
All right, meanwhile, Missouri Senator Josh Hawley grilling Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas yesterday on recent reporting from the New York Times about the surge of migrant children at the border. According to the Times, there has been an influx of kids working punishing jobs across the country, violating child labor laws. Watch this.
Have you seen these numbers? These are reports of trafficking and abuse of migrant children. You can see a massive surge that begins to happen when? Oh, when you come to office in 2021. Huge surge, reports of trafficking, reports of neglect and abuse. You have at every stage facilitated this modern day indentured servitude of minor children. Why should you not be impeached for this?
Senator, I look forward to discussing this issue further because you are misstating the facts so terribly.
Kansas Senator Roger Marshall also announcing he's introducing a resolution to trigger a vote of no confidence in Mayorkas. Joining me right now is Texas Department of Public Safety Lieutenant Christopher Oliveras. Lieutenant, it's great to see you this morning. Thanks so much for being here. You are on the front lines of this. Should Mayorkas be impeached?
Well, good morning, Maria. So, of course, most definitely. We're 2 years into this crisis, and yet the federal government has facilitated the worst border crisis that we have ever experienced as a country. And the fact that there's no responsibility and there needs to be accountability for the indentured servitude and exploitation of these unaccompanied children, definitely there is no confidence. There's no confidence from Border Patrol agents as far as, with these members and these high-ranking levels of leadership. There needs to be a change, a significant change, and definitely we cannot go another 2 years. What we're seeing now, it's getting much worse. Of course, just the number of people that are coming across the border, but also unaccompanied children. And now also fentanyl continues to be an increase that we continue to see that's coming across the borders as well.
Yeah, there's so many issues here. You've also uncovered stash houses in Texas. The Texas Department of Public Safety arresting an alleged human smuggler from Houston who was recruited to drive through a Craigslist ad. This is another issue that is really troubling, that the drug cartels are luring in teenagers to be the getaway car. Here's this ad on Craigslist. It says, transportation gig available. All you need is a vehicle. Pay out same day and cash on delivery. Lieutenant, what can you tell us about this?
Well, Maria, we talked about this early on when you visited the border numerous times. And, of course, at that particular moment, back in 2021, going into 2022, we're talking about social media platforms, how criminal smuggling organizations utilize social media platforms such as TikTok, Snapchat, to advertise their services to recruit drivers and even young drivers to carry out their smuggling operations. But now, most recently, now we're seeing Craigslist. So these criminal organizations have continued to expand their criminal network throughout the United States to advertise their services. And they're using whatever resources they can, whatever advertising services they can to recruit drivers. And it has worked in their favor. That's why we continue to see an increase in human smuggling events, especially along the border, where we're seeing not only individuals within Texas, but from out of state. We've encountered drivers from California, Pennsylvania, Oklahoma, Louisiana, and even juveniles, young adults that are taking part in this smuggling operation. So when you have lax border policies and there's no consequences on the federal side, these criminal smuggling organizations are going to take full advantage of that. And that's what they've been doing for the past 2 years.
So you've got kids being attacked from different areas. You've got 5 million people that we know of apprehended on Joe Biden's watch. I think it's up to 7 million now. You'll have to correct me if that's the right number. You've got gotaways of more than 1 million. You've got the fentanyl issue. And now you've got this issue with Chinese nationals. The number of Chinese nationals up 900%. What is that track like? And what can you tell us about that when you apprehend the Chinese nationals? Are they here on direction from the CCP, or are they trying to escape the CCP?
Well, that's a good question. The issue with that is that we see an increase in Chinese nationals, more specifically in the Rio Grande Valley sector in McAllen, Texas. But again, we don't know exactly what the backgrounds are on some of these Chinese nationals that are coming across because, again, they're not properly vetted, just like with any other immigrant that's coming from any other country. So they're being released. They're being mass released into the country without even knowing exactly what their backgrounds are, what their intentions are, why they're fleeing their country. So we do not know. But we do know for a fact that there is a significant increase. And, of course, it's a very profitable to the criminal organizations who smuggle Chinese nationals because they're paying anywhere from $35,000 to $50,000 a person to get them across the border. So when you're paying that kind of money, there has to be some reason why you're fleeing your country and as to why you want to get into the United States. So that's very concerning as well. That's not only a public safety threat, but also a national security threat as well. That's something that really needs to be clearly looked at. And again, when the secretary cannot, acknowledge the fact that we have a crisis at the border and we're allowing this to continue to take place, well, there needs to be some accountability for that. We need to have answers to those questions as to why we're allowing so many Chinese nationals into the country.
Lisa Zeldin, you're a former congressman. I mean, why are they doing this? I mean, how is it possible that they are completely, I'm talking about the Biden administration, ignoring the national security threat?
This isn't incompetence. This is by design.
Yeah, it's by design.
And you can hold Secretary Mayorkas accountable, impeach him, remove him from office. He'll get replaced by somebody who is just as bad, maybe even worse. Lieutenant Olivares, if we can make you the Secretary of Homeland Security for a day, what would be your first actions that you would take? I mean, in Congress, we would talk about ending catch and release, finishing construction of the border wall, enforcing the Remain in Mexico policy, supporting Customs and Border Patrol agents. What would you do if given that opportunity to be the Secretary for a day?
Well, I mean, Congressman, it's very simple. I mean, this situation can be, solved from one day to the next. If you look at the policies that were working back, prior to 2021, you end catch and release, and you apprehend and you apply consequences. Yeah. You implement the Remain in Mexico policy. You continue with the construction of the border wall. The border wall is a very effective tool. You can ask any law enforcement officer that's on the front lines along the border. That is clearly a significant, a very viable tool for border security. That's exactly what I would do. And of course, as a state, we're doing more right now than any other state. And Governor Abbott is doing more than any other governor in the state of Texas in terms of border security. We already started to build our own Texas border wall because the federal government refuses to restart that construction process. So that's exactly what I would do. It's very simple. Go back to the policies that were working and actually have consequences, apply consequences to those individuals that are violating the rule of law.
Real quick, Adam Johnson.
Yeah, Lieutenant Olivares, to follow up on that question about what the state of Texas can do that the federal government cannot or is not willing to, can you describe the tension on the border between federal agents and Texas state agents?
Well, we have a great relationship with our Border Patrol agents. We work with them every single day, very closely with them. I can tell you just by speaking to them personally, I mean, a lot of them are, they feel demoralized. The morale is low because they don't have the support from their leadership, all the way up to the federal government. So it's clearly demoralizing to them. But again, they're dedicated in serving their country. They want to protect the country. That's what they're there. That's what they're there for. So
well, how could they not see what's going on? They're on the front lines. How could they not see it? Yeah.
Exactly. So, right. I mean, I could just tell you for a fact, I mean, yes, it is demoralizing to them, but again, they are very dedicated to their job. They're dedicated to the service, and they want to protect this country.
As are you. Lieutenant, great to see you this morning. Thank you, sir.